Hey everybody, my name is Brittany and I started studying the Bible in April of 2017. And when I first started, I knew nothing about it. So it was a lot of information. It was stressful, overwhelming. So I decided to start a Bible for Beginners Bible study. Last week we finished off Judges. So this week we're going to start with the book of Ruth. And it is one of my favorites. It is one of only two books that are named after women in the Bible. She is a wonderful, wonderful person to study about. It's a very short, simple story. A woman named Naomi was married and had two sons. They lived in Bethlehem. But there was a severe famine, so the family moved to a city, Moab, where both sons find Moabite wives. Naomi's husband passed away. Both of Naomi's sons passed away. And so she wanted to go back to Bethlehem, where she would be around people she knew, her family, such like that. And people that worshiped the way she worshipped, and people that believed in God. Her two daughter-in-laws wanted to go with her, but Naomi told them no, and Ruth refused to leave Naomi, and she went with her. So Naomi and Ruth are going back to Bethlehem, and Ruth decided to start worshiping Naomi's God, our God, so she converted, Ruth converted over, and it was Ruth's job to take care of the both of them. So they were considered much, much lower class, and back then what would happen to be able to feed themselves is they would go behind people who were harvesting the grain and collect what fell behind them, collect what was on the ground. But God made it so that she went to a certain man's field, and that man was named Boaz. And he was actually part of Naomi's family. He was Naomi's family redeemer, which means that he was basically obligated to help family members in need. He was very well off and, like an overseer. Boaz did notice Ruth in the field and made sure that she was taken care of. Men didn't bother her, and gave her extra food. And then she came to him and kind of stopped wearing the widow's clothes, basically made it so that he knew that she was ready to, I guess as we would say, start dating again, right? But they did marry, and they had a son named Obed, who is the grandfather of David. And if you've read through a lot of the Bible, you know that David's family line is where Jesus came from, right? That always refers to it as David's family line. And so, but in this story, God really isn't mentioned, but it's just kind of, you have to see how God makes things play out in your favor. We see that he changed a pagan, a Moabite woman who was a pagan, Ruth, into a Christian, a God-fearing woman. We see how God puts people at the right places at the right times by putting Ruth into Boaz's field. And we also see that this is a reoccurring theme in the Bible, that the lower class people sometimes carry the best stories through God. He uses a lot of the lower class, poor people to do amazing things. Mary and Joseph, they were very poor, and they had Jesus. So it's really comforting to see this woman, this team of women, I guess, really, be used for such good when they come from such a lowly place. Let's see here. Try to look at all my notes. Make sure I didn't miss anything. And it is a really sweet love story of the Bible. If you read through it, you can see that Boaz really protected her, watched out for her even before they were married. There is a lot of love stories in the Bible if you look for it. It's a lot different than what we think of now, but if you look for it, it's a central theme throughout the Bible. Men protecting women and the sweet love stories, especially in the Old Testament. Let's see here. Next week, if I can turn my page. Next week we're going to jump a few books ahead, and we're going to do the other book that's named after a woman. So we're going to jump to Esther next week, and we'll keep seeing how God uses women in his plans, even when they were considered lower than men, and just like Mary Magdalene, sometimes women weren't listened to when they should be. I hope you guys have a great week. God bless.